In this episode of the Mormon News Roundup, we're diving into one of the most divisive and controversial online movements in the Latter-day Saint digital world. Hashtag DezNat, short for Deseret Nation. Born on Twitter, this hashtag has sparked heated debate among members, critics, and ex-Mormons alike. While some supporters frame DezNat as simply a bold, unapologetic defense of the restored gospel, others see it as a breeding ground for extremism, harassment, and even violent rhetoric. We're going to explore the darker side of the DezNat community in this episode, with allegations of threats, disturbing memes invoking blood atonement, and targeted harassment of LGBTQ plus individuals, including feminists, Muslims, and former Mormon Church members. And here's the most important part. The Mormon Church itself has remained mostly silent on DezNat, specifically referring only to prior statements on political neutrality, fairness, and inclusion. Is DezNat a misunderstood expression of LDS faith, or a dangerous fringe movement giving Mormonism a black eye? Let's get into it.
Mormon Twitter, yes, it's a thing. It's buzzing about the hashtag DezNat. It stands for Deseret Nation. Some say it's an alt-right group of Latter-day Saints who want to purge the religion of those who oppose it.
Those who are part of the cause say they're just encouraging people to follow the prophet. ABC4's culture and religion correspondent Andrew Reeser is in the studio with us right now. So Andrew, please explain.
Well, Don, for LGBTQ users and some former and active members of the church, hashtag DezNat, which first surfaced months ago, represents what they call Mormon extremism. But those who believe in Deseret Nation say it's just a social media push for Latter-day Saints to get back to basics. Defending the truth, trolling, or threatening.
Talk of give apostates the knife, or let's do a blood atonement.
This Twitter user, afraid for his safety, uses the alias Brother Mike. Mike no longer believes in the LDS Church and says users of hashtag DezNat have harassed and threatened him and others online who oppose the church's views.
I don't know what they're capable of. Some are really, alternate right, extremists. I don't know how else to put it.
No one who believes in Deseret Nation wanted to talk to us on the phone or on camera, but did send us several definitions of what they believe DezNat followers are. Not extremists, but members who are, quote, unapologetic about our belief in the restored gospel. But what about memes bearing the DezNat hashtag depicting a family shielding themselves from groups like gays, feminists, and Muslims? Some Twitter images even suggesting knife violence against those who oppose the church's views. One DezNat believer calling for a blood atonement or a sacrifice of apostates. Less extreme users simply say they follow the prophet. But Brother Mike is worried for anyone with opposing views.
They really do think that they're doing the church a favor, that they're defending the faith.
Now, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is staying out of this for now, but they did refer me to past statements about their views on race, immigration, political neutrality, and fairness for all.
Wow, did you catch that? The Mormon Church is trying to stay out of this? Let me know in the comments below if you think that's the right way for the church to proceed, and hit the thumbs up and subscription while you're at it. But how and when did hashtag DezNat actually get started?
The term DezNat was a hashtag started in 2018 by Logan Smith, or his online persona JP Bellum, and he has since been run off the internet, leaving only screenshots of his racist, misogynist, homophobic, and violent rhetoric. And many accounts echoing these hateful beliefs are still up and running today. But this goes much farther back than a Twitter hashtag, as DezNat is short for Deseret Nation or Deseret Nationalist. And the term Deseret has actually been used by Mormons since they first trudged onto land that wasn't theirs, that was eventually named Utah after the Native American Ute tribe. The church now has Deseret News, Deseret Book, Deseret Industries, and back in 1850 they even created their own Deseret alphabet, which is a made-up alphabet that never quite took off, but is very popular with DezNat hashtag users.
Thanks, Mackenzie. But let's back it up just a little bit. Where did the name Deseret even come from? Well, in a fascinating and often overlooked chapter of American and Mormon history, Mormon pioneers made an ambitious attempt to establish the state of Deseret. Led by Brigham Young in the mid-1800s, this proposed mega territory was envisioned as a haven for religious freedom, stretching across parts of what are now several Western states. But while the dream was bold, Congress had other plans. Rather than approving statehood, the U.S. government carved out the much smaller Utah Territory in 1850. Though the State of Deseret never became official, its vision left a lasting mark on the political and cultural shaping of the American West. Now, if you're into little-known stories of Mormon and U.S. history, be sure to hit the subscription because there's plenty more where this came from.
Did you know there was once a state called Deseret? In the mid-19th century, Mormon settlers led by Brigham Young proposed this vast territory to the U.S. government, stretching from modern-day Utah to parts of California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. Deseret was meant to be a haven for religious freedom. Despite its grand vision, the U.S. Congress denied its statehood in 1850, opting instead to create the Utah Territory. Yet Deseret's influence lingered, shaping the boundaries and governance of the region.
Now, hold on just a minute. That last video wasn't 100% accurate. There never was a recognized U.S. state or territory named Deseret. And why is that? Well, I'm glad that you asked.
Mormons on the move! That was the story for the first 25 years of the church's existence. They kept relocating because they wanted to practice polygamy, and the rest of America kept objecting. So Master Mormon Brigham Young figured he'd move his people to a place where no one would bother them, Salt Lake. As the outpost grew, Young figured he'd be able to set up his own state called Deseret. It was huge, but then so was Brigham Young's ambition. Now, Deseret might have come to be except for one thing: polygamy. Weren't you listening? The rest of America thought one wife was plenty, and adding that second or third wife was kind of greedy or stupid and a little creepy. So, the giant Deseret was pared down, polygamy was abandoned, and Utah finally did enter the Union.
Now let's go back even further. The word Deseret comes from the Book of Mormon, where it is said to mean honeybee in the language of the Jaredites, an ancient people described in the scriptures. Found in Ether chapter 2 verse 3, the term symbolizes industry, cooperation, and hard work, values that early Latter-day Saints held dear. Now, when Mormon pioneers arrived in the Salt Lake Valley, they adopted Deseret as the name for their proposed state, reflecting their vision of a self-sufficient, divinely guided society. Even though the U.S. government never recognized the state of Deseret, the term lived on in Utah's identity, most notably in the beehive symbol that still appears on the state's flag, seal, and license plates today. But to understand Desnat, you need to know even more LDS history. I'm talking about the Danites. Now, the Danites were a secretive, militant group formed by Mormon leader Samson Avard in 1838 during a time of intense conflict between Latter-day Saints and their neighbors in Missouri. Named after the biblical tribe of Dan, the Danites saw themselves as defenders of the faith and protectors of the Mormon community. Under the direction of leaders like Joseph Smith, though his level of involvement is somewhat debated, the group used intimidation, violence, and threats to enforce loyalty and silence dissent, even among fellow church members. The Danite actions escalated tensions with non-Mormon Missourians, contributing to what became known as the Mormon War of 1838. The conflict ended with the infamous extermination order by Missouri Governor Lilburn Boggs, forcing Mormons to eventually flee the state to Illinois. The Danites quickly faded from public view, but the legend of a Mormon secret police, well, that lives on. Now, whether vigilantes or protectors, the Danites, they remain one of the most controversial chapters in early LDS history. And here's the entire point here. Many modern-day DezNats fancy themselves as modern-day Danites.
For decades, people have taken the fact that there were some secret elements to this society as permission to say whatever they wanted about them. The vengeful Danites show up in dozens of 19th century fiction novels, and even today, people think the Danites were basically the church's secret hit squad up through the days of Brigham Young.
We're here to offer you a second chance.
I thought you were here to, send us out with the fishes.
But the actual historical record paints a very different picture. The group was originally called the Society of the Daughter of Zion, founded by Jared Carter, George Robinson, and Samson Avard, with Avard as spokesman. Their purpose was initially to warn out apostates whose actions were thought to be a threat to the church.
Leave now and never come back!
Warning people out of town was not a very nice thing to do, but it was fairly common in 19th century communities.
And stay out!
And it happened to the Saints many times, not that that justifies it. After the apostates in question were gone, the Society of the Daughter of Zion essentially became an independent militia called the Danites.
Okay, now you know the history of the word Deseret and a little bit about the Danites. But today's DezNat members often try to remain anonymous so that their bigoted and violent views will remain in darkness. But what happens when DezNat followers get exposed?
Last night, 2 News Investigates told you about the online movement called DezNat, short for Deseret Nationalism. Some LDS Church members used the hashtag when they're defending the church's teachings. Others are using it to share alt-right ideas.
Chief investigative reporter Wendy Halloran dug into why people in this DezNat movement are posting anonymously. Wendy?
Well, Mark and Heidi, the church leadership has not come out and explicitly spoken about DezNat, but one Mormon scholar told me local leaders such as stake presidents and bishops would not tolerate the hate speech and violent imagery seen in some DezNat posts.
One of the reasons why a lot of these people posting under DezNat do so anonymously is because at least somewhere in them, in their heart of hearts, they know that they're actually not on board with the church's current position.
Last summer, The Guardian reported that Matthias Sakote, then Alaska Assistant Attorney General, used the hashtag DezNat when tweeting racist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic messages under the moniker J. Reuben Clark. It's unclear if Sakote resigned or was fired from his job, and he declined an interview for this story.
But most likely, if someone were to be seen to be posting racist or anti-Semitic or misogynist things online and doing so under the cloak of their membership in the church, right, trying to represent that this seems to be the position of the church, that would be taken by most bishops or stake presidents very seriously because they don't want the good name of the church to be besmirched.
Now, a group called DezNat Exposed has been researching the anonymous accounts who actively post using the DezNat hashtag, then posting their real identities online. We spoke to one man who said it cost him his job.
My question for you is, should people who use the hashtag DezNat, should they lose their jobs? Let me know in the comments below. Now, far from being just a harmful ideology, DezNat's evil actions have negative real-world consequences. Like, take for instance in 2021, DezNat members were harassing Dr. Julie Hanks, a licensed clinical social worker, therapist, author, and award-winning singer-songwriter known for empowering women to navigate faith, family, and personal growth. Let's check out this disturbing chapter.
There's been a kind of militant strain within Mormonism from the very beginning. Of course, this is not unique to Mormonism or to Latter-day Saints. This is true in every religious tradition.
Tonight, a 2 News investigation into an online movement, one where some church members are defending scripture and others are flirting with what scholars call alt-right concepts.
Wendy Halloran joins us with more. Wendy, what can you tell us about that hashtag?
Well, Mark and Heidi, hashtag DezNat is trending on Twitter, short for Deseret Nationalism. Enthusiastic online supporters say it's about adherence to church principles, but some church members are using it alongside violent imagery and rhetoric.
My intent is to make room for more people to feel at home as members of the church.
Dr. Julie Hanks, owner of Wasatch Family Therapy, is a practicing member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Including women in making decisions on every level is something that I would really like to see.
She advocates for LGBTQ inclusion.
I want the church to be welcoming for more people.
That progressive approach has drawn ire on social media, including people on Twitter using the hashtag DezNat, short for Deseret Nationalism.
They started posting negative things about me, or taking things out of context, or claiming that I was trying to lead people away from the LDS Church.
I think they see themselves as kind of self-styled guardians of orthodoxy.
Patrick Mason teaches Latter-day Saints history and culture at Utah State University. Mason told 2 News Investigates some of the DezNat posts target liberals, LGBTQ church members, LGBTQ allies, and feminists.
They really believe that they're defending the leaders of the church and that it needs to be defended from what they see as a progressive onslaught. They will go after people very strongly. They'll use violent imagery. They'll talk about unsheathed Bowie knives and other kinds of things.
2 News spoke to multiple people who use the DezNat hashtag. They argued some of the tweets are being taken out of context or are meant to be comic.
Also, there have also been posts that have had anti-Semitic or racist content, which I think they're borrowing from white Christian nationalism and from other sources as well.
The LDS Church refused an on-camera interview but gave us this statement. This group is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Church leaders have reminded its members of all political views to follow the example and teachings of Jesus Christ in treating others with respect, dignity, and love. Anything that encourages or incites violence is contrary to the recent instruction given by church leaders.
Do you think it's free speech, what they're doing, or have they completely crossed the line and have gone unchecked?
I think it's free speech. I don't think it's kind. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's nice. I don't think it's Christ-like, but they get to think what they think and say what they want to say.
Now, in July, former North Ogden mayoral candidate Gregory Smith told 2 News Investigates he's used that hashtag to defend church teachings. A month later, he tweeted out, quote, "Time to get out of our muskets." In response to an LGBTQ-related post, he later deleted his account. Now, the Anti-Defamation League confirmed to 2 News Investigates they are tracking DezNat. The ADL does not consider DezNat a hate group. They call it a loose network.
When the antics of self-appointed Mormon defenders goes beyond the antisocial and veers into threats, it's time to report and to prosecute. Folks, as we've seen here today, hashtag DezNat didn't come out of nowhere. It's rooted in a long and complex Mormon history that includes the ambitious but failed state of Deseret, the symbol of the beehive, and even the violent legacy of the Danites. While some DezNat supporters claim to just be bold defenders of the LDS faith, others embrace a far darker legacy, drawing disturbing parallels to past militant groups and using faith as a weapon against critics, LGBTQ individuals, and progressive voices like Dr. Julie Hanks. This movement's use of memes, coded language, and violent threats raises real questions about the line between religious conviction and extremism. Now, whether you see DezNat as misunderstood or actually malevolent, one thing is clear. It's forcing a difficult but necessary conversation about what it means to be a Latter-day Saint in the digital age. Thanks so much for watching, folks. And if you want more deep dives into Mormon history and current events, don't forget to like and subscribe.